Hey guys, so welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Ready. I am your host, Bohlale, Paile, and in this video today, we are going to be focusing on what are some of those top 5 trends that you need to be aware of in terms of creating the perfect CV so that you get noticed when you make applications. Now you may ask yourself, why is this important? Well guys, one thing that you must always be aware of is the fact that with any role that's been advertised, there are hundreds of people that are applying for that particular role. And as recruiters, when we look through CVs, within the first 7 seconds, we either know that we want to see this person or we know that this is not a CV that I want to be seeing. And in this day and age where we are using applicant tracking systems as well, so much more important for you to understand what are some of the information from your CV that feeds into the applicant tracking system that will make you stand out. So stick with me until the end of the video where I'll be talking about exactly what to do with regards to making yourself stand out on an ATS system. But up until then, we'll just be talking about some of the key things that you need to be focusing on when creating a winning CV. Now, one of the first things that's so important for you to be mindful of is make sure that you're always tailoring your CV, right? Do not create a generic CV that you then send to everyone. You need to get into the mode of tailoring your CV for the organization you're applying for the role that you're applying to. Now, why is this important? As a recruiter, when I receive a CV and I can see that someone has taken the time to understand our business, to understand the role, and you see that from how they do their profile summary, you see that from how they do the skill set section of the CV as well, and how they've kind of linked some of the key things we're looking for within their CV. That's what makes it more attractive, right? So make sure that you're always getting into the mode of tailoring your CV for each opportunity that you go into, but always make sure you're maintaining authenticity as you're putting in information, right? It's not about you going to copy and paste some of the things you see in the job spec and putting it into your CV. No, but make sure that you tailor what the role is looking for with respect to your own current skills and your own set of experience in the actual CV. So the one thing that it shows is intentionality. It shows that you've taken the time to tailor your CV for the organization. But secondly, you're able to then highlight some of the key skill sets and key experiences that you know are going to speak to the role that you're applying to. So the second thing that's important, guys, visual appeal, right? Yes, the content that you put into your CV is absolutely important, but the next most important thing is how it is presented and how your CV actually looks. I've spoken about this in other videos before in terms of making sure you've got a right format, making sure that it is well organized, and making sure that you're using the relevant headings that speaks to the information you're putting underneath it, right? So guys, making it visually appealing is so important, because even if I was to give you 2 different examples of a CV, and one looks absolutely plain and looks like it's written in paragraphs, and the other one actually looks visually appealing in terms of how the setup and the layout of the CV actually looks, and how there are neat headings to actually show you what it is that you are detailing in that particular section. Make sure, guys, always that you are going for a format that is actually going to help you represent your information really well. But also what's going to be important is for you to ensure that you are presenting the information in very clear and concise ways, right? So make sure you're using bullet points where you can articulate quite clearly what it is that you've done and achieved within that particular organization or volunteering role that you were in or extracurricular activity. Make sure you're using bullet points, because that's going to help you not write too many paragraphs, right? No one wants to read paragraphs in a CV. We want to read very clear and concise bullet points that really gives us a good picture of what it is you're involved in that particular space. So visual appeal is so important, guys. Make sure you're getting it right. Make sure you're taking the time to put together a format that's going to make a recruiter want to read more. Now, a section that's absolutely important for you to have in your CV is a skills section, right? What this really tells the person or the reader is what are some of the hard and soft skills that I have attained during my time at university, during my time working as an intern, whatever it is, right? So what I mean with regards to hard and soft skills, hard skills are really looking at technical skills, right? So stuff that you've learned at university that is a skill set for you, whether it's a particular software, whether it is a particular program on computers that you can use, whatever it is that is a very technical and specialist kind of skill, that is something that you would add as a hard skill under your skill set section. And by soft skills, what I mean is more of the interpersonal skills. So we're talking about effective communication, we're talking about presentation ability. So things that really stem from a characteristic, or leadership ability as well is something that you put in there. So these are some of the things that you've kind of honed in on during the times that you were in particular societies or worked part-time at a restaurant, whatever it is, customer service skills. So soft skills are things that are non-technical, that you don't need to be taught necessarily, but that you gain through various types of experiences that you put yourself into whilst at university or as you start in your particular career. So make sure the skill set section, keep it to a maximum though. I don't think you should be putting more than like 10 skills on there, right? So make sure if you've got some technical skills, you've got at least 3 or 4 different technical skills on there, but also that you are making sure that you are also articulating what some of these key soft skills are that you have attained. Now, a great way to be able to do this, make sure you understand your job spec, make sure you understand the role that you are applying to. What are some of the key things that they mentioned that they need of a person working this particular role? Once you identify certain skill sets that they mention in the particular role and you know that you've got that skill set, make sure you're prioritizing those skills. Those are the things that speak to and align to the role that you're applying to. This goes back to point number 1 where I say make sure you're tailoring your CV, right? But don't make up skills, right? Don't just write a skill set there because you saw it in the job spec. It has to be something that you know you have, and you need to know how you've attained that. Because if they ask you in the interview to say, I see that you say that you've got leadership capability, tell me more about it. You need to be able to at least articulate why you say you've got leadership capability and where it is you learned that particular skill. So never make up skills just to make sure that you've got a skill set section. Make sure whatever you put there, you're able to justify whether it's a technical skill or an interpersonal skill. Now, the 4th tip that I think is so important for you to be mindful of is when you're articulating the various roles or various initiatives that you've been a part of, make sure that you're describing it in a very results-orientated way. Now, what do I mean by this? Make sure that you're able to at least articulate certain metrics, percentages, outcomes that you have been able to attain in particular roles, right? So whether you were part of a society where you were the president of the society, be able to mention how big the team was that you were leading. Make sure to mention how many activities you were a part of or that you launched within your time. So make sure that whatever it is that you are saying you've done in a particular organization, in a particular society, in a particular extracurricular activity, make sure that you're making your description a little bit more results based. What this really helps us understand is that you weren't just a bystander, right? Many people will mention that they were part of particular societies, but they won't mention what role they played, what were some of the key initiatives that maybe they came up with or that they started? How did this impact the result of a particular initiative that you guys were working on? If you don't mention that, it just sounds like you're part of a society and you could have just been one of the many members that are part of that society. And what does that tell me about you? Absolutely nothing, right? So if you're part of something or you're working and you're part of a project group or you're part of a team and there's a particular outcome, how have you added value to that process and what part did you play in getting a particular result? Now, last but not least, a very important trend, as I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of organizations are using ATS systems. Now, for those of you that don't know what an ATS system is, it actually is an acronym that stands for Applicant Tracking System. This is where when you're applying for a particular role, they ask you for your CV, but they actually ask you to type it out, right? So you're not just attaching or sending a CV, you're typing it out per section. Now, an applicant tracking system is actually there to help the organization better sift through the applicants that are applying for a particular role. Now, by you typing out particular aspects of your CV, allows for the system to be able to categorize the types of experience you have, the skill set you have, and it makes it a lot easier for the recruiter on the other end to be able to sift through people that have the relevant experience. Now, for those of you that have asked me a few times actually around what is the aim of the applicant tracking system? Why do organizations use that? Does that mean they're not reading my CV? No, not necessarily. But what it does mean is that the system itself aggregating who are the top applicants for this particular role based on whatever it is that is a criteria for them, right? So say, for instance, you're applying for a role and the role is outside of South Africa, and maybe they've set on their end a metric that says anyone that is a non-citizen of this particular country is not going to be eligible for this particular role. Now, you don't know that as the applicant, but as you put it in and say the role is in Dubai, for instance, right? And as you put in and they ask you for your nationality and you say South Africa, and they ask you whether you've got rights to work in Dubai and you say no, already the system is going to be able to classify you based on the criteria that's been set by the organization. So if you don't meet a particular metric that they've set on their end, that will automatically tell them that you don't qualify, and therefore they won't then look through your CV, because one of the requirements is for you to then be a national of Dubai, right? Or to be working and have the rights to work in that particular country. So that's what an applicant tracking system is. Now, the tip that I wanted to share with you guys around how to navigate or how to make yourself stand out with regards to applicant tracking systems, once again, goes back to saying, tailor your CV, right? Understand what are some of the keywords that are important for the role that you're applying to. Make sure that as you fill out your CV on the applicant tracking system, you are using those keywords over and over again in different areas. You could use it in your profile summary. You could use it in your skill set section. You could use it as you're describing some of your result-orientated metrics that speak to some of the experience that you've had, right? So make sure you're always connecting particular keywords that have to do with a particular role or with a particular organization, because that's what's going to allow the system to pick you up as someone that is actually 80% aligned to this particular role, 90% aligned to this particular role. And some of you may see that actually if you go onto LinkedIn and you're going under the job section, it will recommend particular roles for you based on your own profile on LinkedIn. So it's the same kind of system where it actually looks through your profile, it looks through how you've described yourself, how you've described your job, how you've described the different titles that you've had, and they use that, and then when a new role comes in onto LinkedIn, they then do a bit of a matching from a keyword perspective to give you an idea as to whether you would be eligible for a particular role, and that's how they go about them recommending the role for you. And that will definitely increase your chances of being noticed by the particular recruiter. So guys, those are the top 5 tips that I wanted to share with you on how to create a winning CV. If you found value in this video, make sure that you are clicking the subscribe and the like button so that more people can have access to this kind of information, because the aim of this platform, as I've said before, is to really just help students, young professionals get corporate ready. So thank you for watching and looking forward to engaging with you in the next video. Hey, before you go, I want to share something with you that I think could be of massive benefit. If you're someone who's gearing up for a job interview or simply wants to improve their interview skills, I've created a 10-step interview prep guide that I think you'll find extremely useful. In it, you'll discover tips and techniques that have helped countless others land their dream jobs. So don't hesitate to click the link below to grab your free guide now and start preparing to ace your next interview.